Hello everyone and welcome to another video, which is episode number 1 of my prep for the Keltman on June the 12th. So just got the green light on it going ahead with COVID restrictions in Scotland as of this week, which means that I have a fair amount of swimming and biking volume to make up for in my limbs, as it has been lacking. So a lot of work to do in not that huge amount of time, but I'm going to run you through it episode by episode, hoping to get an episode out a week ahead of the race itself on June the 12th. So I'll just be taking you through how I'm balancing strength and endurance, how I'm preparing psychologically, what things I'm doing to get myself ready for race day. I'll vary the content as I go, and I will put some other content alongside the Keltman Prep episodes as we run into it. So today I have my first brick of 2021, and probably my first brick since May, June last year, because this race was cancelled last year, and at that point I just shifted my training focus onto the 500-pound squat and sub 5 minute mile in the same day, so my triathlon stuff just got put to bed until then. So as this is the first try since that was cancelled, I haven't been particularly triathlon focused, but with the volume I've got in me from the 12-hour max distance run, the aerobic base, etc, etc, fingers crossed I can translate that all quite quickly, but I guess we're all going to find out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to head downstairs, get breakfast, get myself sorted. I actually need to head to the supermarket before, as we're pretty low on supplies for the day. I want to come back in off the bike and chow down without having to worry about not having stuff in the house. So I'm going to get that done before I head off, and then what I will do is see you on the bike, and then once I'm back I'll actually run you through what the Keltman looks like. Why is it such a brutal race? Why am I so worried about the training for it? And what am I going to need to do differently to prepare for it? So, see you on the bike. Alright, so just before I head off, I thought it's probably worthwhile sharing what my session is. Nice one, Fergus. So, 1.5 hours on the bike, straight into 1 hour on my feet. So just getting used to that turnover time again, straight in, get changed, shoes on, off I go. Going to incrementally build that volume from this weekend onwards, really, and just see how things go right up until the Keltman. Given that this is my first brick session since we moved into this house, I actually couldn't find the majority of my cycling kit, so no long sleeve jersey today, base layer and a short sleeve one. Couldn't find my cycling sunglasses, so I'm going to be rocking very slippy, very unreliable Ray-Bans. These are definitely going to be a pain in the arse slipping down like this, but anyway, I'll plod on. 1.5 hour ride, not too much to worry about. Couldn't find my cycling gloves, so I've just got some bog standard ones. But I've got my helmet, I've got my bike, got my water in here, got my electrolytes in there. Off I go. Alright, so halfway up there, I'm just on the east coast, feeling pretty solid at the moment, although again there's definitely a lot of fatigue in my quads from the 53 miler. The weekend just gone, so easing into that. This route there is always quite a forgiving tailwind on the way out, so quite an unforgiving headwind on the way back, but I'm going to turn around now, just at 12.5 miles, pretty much exactly the sort of pace heart rate I want to be at, but I will see you shortly. Alright, just got off the coast, absolute brute of a headwind the whole way back, but really enjoying today. Can definitely feel the fact I haven't been out on the roads on my bike in quite a while, so hoping for a quick turnaround here. Ooh, but not far from the house now. I will catch up with you once I've got changed and I'm out on the road on my feet. So, back on my feet, I've just about sprained my ankle the second I left the curb. Nice work. So hips are feeling a little tight, as is expected. I've just got 1 hour at a sort of 9-30 minute mile pace, just to ease back into the running off the bike. So catch up with you shortly. We'll see how this goes. I tell you what, the little that there is to my calves are definitely bearing the brunt of this. So obviously just not used to that pull on the pedal stroke, so a lot more fatigue through them, and some from last weekend, but oh, they're burning. They are burning. Well, it's turned into an absolute beauty of a day, which just makes
the thought of getting this block of training done that much more exciting, because I can spend a lot of time in settings like this one just enjoying being outdoors. So my calves are on fire, there is no doubt about it, and this is a harsh reintroduction into brick training, but I've got a lot of work to do. I'm excited about getting it done. Keeping it to about an 8:30 to 9-minute mile where I can, and then I'm walking the uphills, 1 to ease off my calves, and 2 because that's exactly what I'll be doing in the Keltman. I'll give you a bit more context on that when I get home, but with the elevation and the fact that of 2 Munros, it is very much a starting, stopping, running, walking sort of race, so might as well start the specificity now when I've got an incline like this one, and then just run the flats and downhills where I can. So see you back at the house. I know what you're thinking, looks like I'm auditioning for Jackass 4, but this is just what chocolate protein powder and spinach looks like blended. So protein, spinach, milk, berry mix, banana, bit of salted caramel sweetener, very nice, and that's it, I think. 10k at a real easy pace, data on the screen for you there. That was an encouraging start back into Brick Saturdays, as they are now going to be known. Legs feel alright, calves wore off towards the end. I think it was just a bit of a shock to them. Gonna get this down me and I'll catch up with you soon. PS, I know what you're thinking, sick outfit, where can I get one? Well, this is the Gymshark speed range, and if you head to the description down below and use my link, you will be doing me and the channel an absolute solid, so get involved. So, it's actually a few days after we last spoke, as I had 3 bottles of beer watching the Six Nations on Saturday, and I felt dreadful. So I signed off for the weekend. First time I've drank in a while, lesson learned, but nonetheless, I thought I would give you some context on what the Keltman actually is. So for those that don't know, the Keltman is the Scottish instalment or the UK instalment of the Extreme Triathlon World Tour, which is basically a collection of really quite sadistic, really quite long, really quite brutal, but very scenic races. So the most popular and probably most well-known one is the Norseman Extreme Triathlon, which is very, very highly sought after. I was in the ballot for it last year, and I think there were about 9,000 applicants for 300 or so places. So it's a tough race to get into. Fingers crossed I'll get into it sooner rather than later, but I've got a place in the Keltman. It has been deferred from last year due to COVID, and I was fully not expecting it to go ahead this year, but it is. So, as I've said, 12 weeks of prep. Let's see what happens. This is a full distance triathlon and then some. So it is starting with a 3.4 kilometre swim in Loch Shieldag in the northwest of Scotland, basically at the bottom of the North Coast 500 for anybody that knows the area. It was 3.8k a few years ago, but they actually reduced it because the water is so cold that people were having some issues. Brilliant. And it is jellyfish infested water, and not only is it jellyfish infested water, but they send a bloke out in a boat the morning of to herd the jellyfish towards the swimmers, because as I've said, it's a sadistic collection of races. So that starts with a 3.4 kilometre swim, and then you head onto a 202 kilometre bike ride around the roads of the Highlands, which are not notoriously well known for being the smoothest in the world. They are notoriously known for being hilly, for being windy, but for being very scenic, which is nice. So, as a man with short legs and a fair amount of body weight, 202 kilometres with over 2,000 metres of elevation on the bike with 12 weeks prep doesn't sound that exciting. I think we can all agree. But here we are. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. I'm going to sit on that turbo for hours and hours and hours and get very, very comfortable with every corner of Watopia. So, when you get off the 202 kilometre bike ride, you are faced with a marathon over 2 Munros. And for those that might not be aware, a Munro in Scotland is any mountain over 3,000 feet, which is 914.4 metres. There are 282 of them around the country. Some are as low as sort of an hour north of Edinburgh, and then there's some way up and some out in the Outer Hebrides, out in the Isles out there as well. So they're all over the place. I've done 63 out of the 282, so I've got 219 to go, and 2 on the Keltman will take me to 65. So looking forward to getting back out in the hills once lockdown eases, but I also need to get out there for a lot of training for this portion. So there's over 1,500 metres of elevation on the run section of the race, and it's worth noting as well that in this particular triathlon, the run section, run/hike, tends to take people as long as the bike section does. So it's a brutal day out. There's no two ways around it. I've got a lot of work to do. It's kind of intimidating at this point. I'm going to aim to lose about 3 kilos of body weight to get myself in sort of ideal race condition for it. I've got a bit of body fat that I can get rid of, but my aim is to keep my strength as high as possible. So that's an overview of the Keltman. I hope you're as excited as I am about that brutally intimidating start line and everything that follows. What I thought I'd do whilst I've got you here as well, and I'm in my sort of talking to camera setting, I would give you a bit of an update on how things are going from my end. So I recently left full-time employment on the 5th of March, and I've recently gone full-time with online coaching. If you are interested in that, please head to the description down below where you can head to the website and look things through. I've joined forces with my coach of 3 years, Jonathan Payne, who is an all-round savage, and we are just looking to create a community of hybrids who are excited about building concurrent training goals and excelling at lots of different things all at once, because strength and stamina can coexist. Alongside that, I am working on a second venture which is focused around building an agency around placing mental health speakers into corporates, schools and universities around the UK, and I've got a lot of exciting stuff going on there, and it will be where I start a podcast. A lot of the podcast videos are going to be going on this YouTube channel here, so hopefully you can look forward to that, and there should be some really decent long form content on the way with a higher frequency as well. So that's basically it for episode 1 of my Keltman Prep. Episode 2 will not come long after this, but I'm going to try and give you an insight into different elements of my prep week by week right up until the event itself. I've got to get back in the sea, I've got to get some more kit, I've got to get a lot of things under my belt, and I've got some really long sessions to get out. I've got a friend who is training for the Keltman as well, and in a similar position to me. He's actually been suffering from long COVID, so his aerobic capacity is a bit more reduced than when it was before, which is good news because he's better than me on the bike, so we won't be dropping him as much. But we can get some training together done at the weekends, which would be nice because we're both kind of in the position where we're thinking, oh my God, so much work to do in so little time. But you know what? That's the beauty of having the aerobic base sitting there ready to specialise, and the way I view being an efficient hybrid athlete is that you are no more than sort of 3 months at any given time away from being able to specialise into a specific discipline. So let's put that to the test. I've got some very exciting goals towards the end of the year that are strength and triathlon focused, and then I'm working towards some big charity projects towards the end of the year in 2022 as well. If you've got any questions about what I'm up to, what I've been up to, what this race entails, please do drop them in the comments down below. But I thought that would give you a nice introduction to how things are going my end, what's happening next, and what the Keltman looks like. So, hope you've enjoyed episode 1. Stay tuned for episode 2. Make sure you're giving this video a like and that you've subscribed down below. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.